I want to tell you a little story. And this story is about a champion. Me. The story's going to have a happy ending, but it's going to be for me. Hey! Oh my God! Look out! John Cena's here and he's all over it! You want some? If Edge is disqualified, he will lose the title. Come get some!
It's the biggest party of the summer, but who will be celebrating when the night is over? The action heats up as 3 World Championship are decided at Summerslam. Will John Cena use his hometown advantage to end Edge's WWE Championship run? Can Batista reclaim his crown by ending the World Heavyweight Championship reign of King Booker? And how will Ecw World Champion The Big Show handle the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal Sabu? Nobody cares. Randy Orton looks to kill another legendary career, but can anyone destroy the immortal Hulk Hogan? Yes, as it turns out, but not tonight. Plus, the rivalry of D-Generation X and the McMahons comes to a violent end. Get ready for SummerSlam! Dun, 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 dun. Hey, you, Mr. Backstabbing son of a bitch! Do, 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 do. And now that I'm here, I see oh so clearly, I'll go face to face with the enemy. Oh, the enemy. Welcome everybody to another rendition of the Madhog and Diva Wrestling Podcast. And Dantan. Hi, Dantan.
Thank you very much.
Which is taking place live in Newcastle, England. I meant to say Ossett, West Yorkshire, also in England. And it's us, our
voices,
your presenters, your beloved friends, plural, your beloved friends already, talking wrestling to you. In your face, or in your ear, if you're hearing this.
More like talking about past wrestling at this point.
Well, yes, we are in the midst of rediscovering the origins of the Ruthless Aggression era. Well, the origins of John Cena as the leader of the Ruthless Aggression era, as it were, with 2006 SummerSlam, which is the 19th edition of the event.
Yes, it was because it is the 19th event of the event, essentially.
So yes, it is the 19th event of the event.
Yes.
Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, the event of the event of the event in question of the 19th event.
Guys, we are so great at this.
Yes, it is. It took place on August 20th of 2006, of course, because it's SummerSlam 2006.
Thank you.
And
as opposed to 2017.
Yes, to clarify at least. And the attendance rate upon this show, as if these numbers are right, are about 16,168 people in attendance.
Yes, and the music used for it was The Enemy by Godsmack.
Yes.
A surprising and great choice for a pay-per-view of wrestling.
With the tagline being the biggest party of the summer.
Yes, not only that, there were a series of vignettes made in preparation for SummerSlam to publicize it, and they all featured the superstars going at the biggest party house of the summer to have the biggest barbecue pool party of the summer, I guess. Those vignettes are included in the DVD, but for matters regarding time, we did not see them.
Yeah, plus I don't think that would have been any point to seeing them.
They were kind of funny in their own right, but what we did end up seeing in the extras of the DVD, which I'm holding on my hand right now, as you can hear, was an interesting extra segment that took place on Raw the following night. So we're going to review SummerSlam, and unlike our previous pay-per-view review...
Yes, the Great American Bash.
The Great American Bash to the head, as it were. Literally the Great Enzymes Attack from Outer Space. The Great Conspicuous Absence of Somebody. This pay-per-view will be less notes-heavy and much more off the cuff.
Especially since we just watched it like 15 minutes ago, essentially.
Yes, by the time of this recording, we've only watched the pay-per-view 15 minutes ago.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming that.
I'd like to confirm what other people...
Yes, he's our timekeeper.
He's the confirmer.
He also provides drinks.
Yes.
Thank you, timekeeper guy. Don't cheat The Undertaker. I mean, don't cheat Brock Lesnar out of beating The Undertaker. It would look really bad. So, this is very off the cuff, not much in the way of notes, and mostly the recapping of feuds leading to matches will be handled by my own faulty memory, so if I get anything wrong or if I forget anything important, blame it on my memory, because it's been a while. But regardless, what did we think of this show overall before we start?
Can we forget the first two matches? He has a point. I mean, the show doesn't technically start until much later, but once it does, it kind of becomes much more better than the meh show that was the Great American Bash.
I'm going to slap you in the beard. Anyway, so just so you know, people, geographically speaking, I am placed right in between the two twins.
Yes.
So I had to look back and forth in between the two of them whenever they're talking. My neck is going to be sore by the end of the night, just like my English-speaking abilities, apparently. Because, you see, we've been yelling at the television for 3 hours watching SummerSlam, so we've already a bit tried, as it were.
Yes, that voice brick as well.
Right, so let's just start and not waste any more time. This is the biggest party of the summer, SummerSlam 2006. The enemy!
Yeah, and the first enemies on the chopping block, which you have on here, would be... Oh, gosh, no.
Yeah, the first match of the night is Rey Mysterio versus Chavo Guerrero.
Can we just wheelbarrow this away, you know, because... Everyone knows how it ended, the whole thing. It's infamous. Everyone knows what happened with all the whole situation.
I mean, we talked plenty about how this felt shady and exploitative last time we covered a pay-per-view in 2006.
Yeah, involving Eddie Guerrero being the centerpiece.
But I think this one reaches a new low in many ways.
Yeah, it really does. Like the connections between Chavo and Rey at the very beginning, with all the... vignettes between them,
Yes, so...
Yeah, the vignettes that take place are not anything to do with what happened before the event, or, anything like that. It's way back when Eddie was alive and showing what their memories with him were like.
Yeah, so when Rey Mysterio entered the ring, they played a bit of a moving, tear-jerking video package retailing how him and Eddie were friends and they were tag team champions together in 2005, ignoring all that debacle with Rey's son Dominic and that ladder match for his custody, gosh darn it. This was only 1 year prior to this event, by the way.
Yes.
And then when Chavo enters the ring, hey, viva la raza! Here's some vignettes for when we were Los Guerreros. Órale, mi raza!
And they were also tag team champs, and they were Cross family.
So this already sets the mood for this match to be swiftly pulled under the rag, as it were.
Yeah. Even the fans in attendance were...
We'll talk about the crowd tonight, because I really did not like the crowd tonight, generally speaking.
The first moment with the crowd and Rey Mysterio and Chavo, I could swear, dead silence.
I could only hear booing.
Yes, it was
Booing for the both of them. And at first I thought, yes, this crowd is acknowledging that the whole Eddie Guerrero exploitative storyline is garbage, and they are,
voicing displeasure.
voicing their opinions. But no, this is a leitmotif for the entire night. It almost seems like somebody pretty much bought a ticket to this event just so that they could ruin the show for everyone else and for everybody watching. This is the worst kind of fans. And honestly, if this were to be already the end of the review,
Yes.
I will be saying that the crowd tonight was the worst guy. But I will not be doing that. I already did the enzymes last month as my choice for the worst guy,
Yes,
which was already kind of a joke in its own right.
and it would be unfair to some of the other matches that are in this card that are pretty
Quite good.
They're pretty damn good, actually.
But alas, we have to talk about this one.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I wish we could skip it.
Well, I don't think it will take a long time to talk about it. Like I said, we're not doing a play-by-play, just our general off-the-cuff feelings about it.
Yeah.
It was not good.
No, it was definitely not, it was not good. The atmosphere was not right. Everything before the match takes place feels wrong in every sense of the word, and it definitely feels exploitative.
It is.
It
very
is, especially
exploitative.
when it tries to get like when it pans the camera over to Ray's arm with
Yeah.
the EG on it.
Yeah, he's wearing the Eddie Guerrero wrist arm.
As is
No, wrist
Chavo.
Armband.
Did I just say wrist arm?
Yes, you said
That sounds like an abomination of nature. I meant to say, yes, arm-bound, as it were.
And even
Yeah.
Chavo has that too, actually.
So these two basically are feuding against each other to see who loved Eddie the most. This is the core of their feuding. No, I loved Eddie the most. No, I was his bestest friend. I was his nephew. Yeah, I was more family to him than you ever were. And
Wow, Madhog, when you put it like that, you make him sound like 10-year-olds fighting over who is the favourite child.
I'm making a face at you right now, which cannot be seen, but try to imagine it.
Well, he doesn't have to imagine it.
No,
I mean,
can see
whoever
it.
is listening.
Oh, okay.
Right, so, it doesn't help that we've seen a bajillion of matches in between these two before this feud. And honestly, this might have been the most forgettable of all of the matches they had.
Yeah.
It really looked like Ray was not in the top of his form. He looked like that even last month, the month prior to this one,
Yeah.
at the Great American Bash. And Chavo, it doesn't seem happy to be doing this. Honestly, neither of these guys look very happy to be actually involved in this very uncomfortable feud.
There was a couple of botches in that match too.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, involving Ray's mask coming off.
Oh, yes, that was actually pretty funny. So, Chavo Guerrero punched Ray so hard in the face, it removed his mask. The only thing that saved him was the fact that the hard camera was focusing on a more broad perspective of the two fighting. Because imagine if there was a close-up of him without his mask. That's the end of Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
That's the death of the character.
Yes,
My gosh.
it wouldn't be Mysterio anymore.
Oh gosh.
He wouldn't be a king anymore. A king of mystery. Because that's what Rey means. So, they did not look like they were giving it all in their matches. And
No.
I do believe Rey was a bit injured at the time. I know that after an I Quit match against Chavo on SmackDown,
Yeah.
2 I Quit matches in the same month? That's ridiculous. But after that match, Rey would take basically almost the entire year off. He would even miss WrestleMania. So you know it was bad.
Yeah. Oh, that does sound really terrible when you put it like that.
Either way, this match perfectly exemplifies everything that was wrong with Rey Mysterio as both a champion and as a booked wrestler, because even by the accounts of the announcers, it really felt like he was just filling the shoes of Eddie. He was being a champion as a surrogate for Eddie Guerrero.
Which is never a good sign.
Never a
Yeah.
good sign. And he was also booked horribly because he
Yeah.
lost against everybody.
Speaking of surrogate, things, where They were doing Eddie's moves as well. You know, like his
the
signature
frog
stuff,
splash, the suplexes.
At any other point in time, it would be appropriate for Chavo to homage and tribute his own uncle.
Yeah, but Ray was doing them as well.
I said Chavo.
Yeah.
I said it would be okay for Chavo, not for Ray. I don't care what anyone else says.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything at all. I'm a nihilist. So it just drives the point home that this whole thing is as exploitative as it can possibly get.
Yeah.
And it's bad. And the match is forgettable.
Yeah, it's incredibly bad. And
they do a couple of high-flying moves, I guess, a couple of this and that, and all of the whole shebang, but it's nothing impressive or nothing we haven't seen before from these two.
Yeah, and not to mention the match does end in a way with Vicky Guerrero coming in.
Yeah, so this was before Vicky turned heel properly, but apparently she accidentally helps Chavo win in the match.
Yeah, and
she does slap Chavo in the face earlier on during said match, but then she tries to interfere while Rey Mysterio was trying to end Chavo's life with a frog splash.
Yes.
And then this accidentally, in quotation marks, causes Rey to fall down the ropes because Vicky was climbing on those ropes, to get on a stable position on the apron.
Yeah.
And then Chavo does the frog splash, which I might add was a really bad-looking frog splash.
Yeah, you can tell he's not trained enough doing that maneuver.
I mean, he's good at doing the gory special. Then we get a slow-motion replay of that move from a better angle so that we can appreciate how bad it is. And also, inexplicably, we get a slow-motion replay of Vicky reacting to the frog splash.
Which Dantan asked, why the heck are they doing that?
I have no idea.
I don't either. It seemed very superfluous in the grand scheme.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was.
It's like, oh
no! And oh my gosh, the face. Yes, the faces that she makes in slow motion, that makes it even more funny. So Chavo wins, I guess, and nobody really cares.
Yes, nobody left a better man or woman that night.
Nope, especially not Vicky. She'll become a good heel in time.
Were the fans silent when Chavo won as well?
The fans were really not caring about this match all that much. You could only hear people booing every once in a while, but they were not loud in the slightest. They were clearly conserving themselves for much later.
Yeah.
Yes, which will become much obvious later when we talk about those matches.
Anyway, this was match number 1.
Yes. Great opener, guys.
Cringy as all hell. For the wrong reasons. Unlike a match later on down the line.
Best SummerSlam party ever, right?
Oh yes, when I think about that particular match, I think of party and having a good time.
Yeah, a party involving talking about dead uncles and fighting over who liked them better when they lived.
Actually, I was talking about that bloodbath later on.
Oh right, that too.
But this is also pretty not good.
Yeah.
Cringy for the wrong reasons, I wanted to say.
So, on to the next match, I guess.
Actually, before that, we have a small segment.
Right.
Starring King Booker, which is now the World Heavyweight Champion. I wonder why that changed. Speaking of Ray being a bad champion.
Yeah, that seems a bit suspicious.
Seems a bit suspicious.
I don't trust this guy.
I don't trust this guy.
I don't trust this management.
I don't trust this queen. So, Queen Charmel now has seemingly adopted the old-timey royal English manner of speaking.
Thou, Booker, sort of thing.
Thou art thy king, or something along these lines.
Yeah. Thou art the king of the world.
Of the world.
Of the world.
Of the world. Of the world.
There's a gem that John Bradshaw Layfield says much later on.
Okay, we'll save it for that match. He does have a couple of gems here and there.
Yeah, it certainly does.
He does have good chemistry with Michael Cole, though. I'll give him that. I noticed that there are a lot more signs in this time of wrestling, in this time of the WWE. My favorite was that one You Can't See Me John Cena sign, in which there was basically an attached movable paper arm that could be moved with a string behind the sign, so it looked like John Cena on the paper was doing the "You Can't See Me" sign, which was adorable.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was cute in its own right.
Yes, and then there was the worst sign of the night at some point, which said "Trish swallows."
Which got taken away very swiftly.
I think it was.
Yes.
Anyway, so this segment with King Booker,
Yeah, the segment with King Booker.
which becomes a segment also involving then WWE Champion Edge and WWE Women's Champion Lita. So basically, this whole segment is a waste of time, right?
Yes, it's a waste of time.
It's intriguing to see them both in the same locker room, both the champion from SmackDown and the champion from Raw. They basically,
Make a wager against each other.
I guess they do, because they were two heels, two very proud and arrogant heels, saying, "I'm the best one, no, I'm the better one, I'm king, and you're a peasant." "Oh yeah? I'll show you who's the peasant." So here's the wager that they do. If Edge does not retain the championship, he goes to SmackDown to kiss King Booker's feet. Fair enough.
Yeah.
He's king. But if King Booker's championship is not retained by him tonight, then he'll be the servant for the night. To Edge's court, I guess.
Yeah.
Edge's very scanty court.
Yeah, roguish court.
Who is this rogue?
Who is this rogue?
Who is this rogue?
Who is this rogue that comes before King Booker?
King Booker! So there's that. Nothing comes out of this wager, and it's never mentioned ever again.
Yeah, it feels like they want to basically have a unification match between
No,
the two.
No.
Well, curiously enough, there will be a feud involving all the three world champions from all three brands in a Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Curiously enough,
Alright.
much later on, it's Taboo Tuesday, but it doesn't involve Edge in the slightest. But regardless, this segment gave us the tease of a possible
Outcome
outcome
that you would like to see.
that never really gets anywhere, because given the results of the night, it basically ends on this very night. So it's a waste of time, essentially. Time waster, but at the very least, it's...
Entertaining.
Well, Edge and Booker are really good, so yes. Right then,
Right.
so I guess we can go to the second match of the night.
Great! It should be more better than the first one, at least.
You'd think so, right?
Oh, no.
Next up is the ECW World Championship match
That's early for a World Championship match.
that puts the Big Show as the defending champion versus Sabu. We've already seen the Big Show last month at the Great American Bash,
Yes.
taking the spot of the Great Khali in a match of Great Khali's invention, essentially.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is an Extreme Rules match against the Big Show and Sabu. Yes, the match is working against both of them, as it were.
Yes, it definitely did.
With our amount of botchers in that, they might as well change Sabu's moniker to Botchacidal Maniac.
What I did like about the announcer for ECW is that he actually bothered to use all of the monikers that Sabu is known for his introduction. So it was the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal, etc., Sabu and all that. So the match itself, let's see, there are some tables, there are some chairs.
There's a stairs at one point.
Yes,
Which
there
was
is a
used to-
table built atop the stairs that are used to get inside the ring, which Sabu managed to sleep on top of it
And had to be set up again just to
Right in
be...
front of the
very
Big
fast,
Show.
and the Big Show was very patiently waiting for
Yeah,
him
it's
to
just
stop,
stood in front of him,
because
like,
there was a
watching him,
planned spot for him to take a DDT on the table.
and it looks very obvious.
And then at some point, Sabu just nonchalantly drops a chair outside the ring, only to realize that he actually needed that chair for a spot that was upcoming. Fun fact,
What?
they put him in a match against John Cena at Vengeance for the sole purpose of exposing how bad he is.
Really?
At least that's what I heard. And it was a lumberjack match, so nobody really gets to look bad or good or anything in those matches.
No.
Anyway,
No good.
it could have been better.
Yes.
If you want to hear a bit of a backstory, Rob Van Dam used to be both the WWE and ECW champion at the same time, and then he was caught red-handed with marijuana. He was suspended for 30 days. We all know the story. He was stripped of both titles. Big Show won the ECW Championship on Tuesday, while Edge won the WWE title on a episode of Raw just 24 hours earlier.
Yeah.
How have the mighty fallen?
Indeed.
It was really bad. So when Rob came back, he had a ladder match against Sabu for the #1 contendership against the Big Show's title, and Sabu won. And I apologize for sounding like the most unenthusiastic person in the planet.
Yeah.
But this match has nothing to be enthusiastic about it. This ECW really is exhausting to just talk about. Anyway, Big Show wins by slamming Sabu on a table.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares at all.
Okay,
so,
so
moving on.
I actually want to point out something that really shocked me.
Yeah.
And it gave me in my mind the idea, no, the fact, the knowledge that this was a bad crowd. They were booing tables.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody does that. Nobody boos tables. They are like the most over item in all of wrestling. And they were booing tables.
Clearly, they did not like tables. I guess they don't eat dinner at tables.
Look, you pay for a ticket to see a wrestling show. You're free to chant whatever you want to do. You're free to boo whomever you want to. But when you're just doing for the sake of doing it, thus ruining the show for all of the other people that paid to have a good time, or not to mention the people who paid to watch it at home,
Yeah.
you are a complete a-hole for doing that.
Yeah.
And they did that throughout the entire night.
Definitely a terrible crowd who can't be impressed with anything, apparently.
They were booing because they can. Look at us, we are such clever, snarky audiences. And I bet most of them were Canadians. Those dastardly Canadians booing the baby faces, cheering for the bad guys. Ooh, Bizarro Land, as Jerry puts it.
Or rather, it's probably extra bizarro since they've booed everybody.
Yeah, what's up with that? It's weird.
So, on to the next segment.
Yeah, that Diva Search segment.
It was awkward,
And
to say the least.
it didn't have a point of being on the pay-per-view, I don't think.
Hey, we have this new diva signed with our company because she won the Diva Search of 2006, Layla, which I remember very vividly. You know, she was teamed up with Michelle McCool at some point. They formed the most insufferable duo of heels they could possibly devise. That's good for them, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Layla has an issue. Help me out here. I'm actually losing my wording.
I would say has a non-issue in the locker room.
They are doing an initiation for her, I guess.
You're not a WWE superstar.
You're not a diva.
Diva.
What, do you think that just because you won a contest that makes you a diva? Yes, it actually does.
Yes, you totally can.
That's what Trish literally says.
Yeah, you totally can.
Yeah,
That's
and
sad.
then they all giggle and laugh.
That was a prank.
and
then they all
go into the shower.
Yeah, they all go to the showers for no reason, because that's the initiation for Layla.
And they were really shoving her butt towards the camera.
Yeah, again, there's no point of it existing in this pay-per-view. Personally.
So, this is not being a good show so far.
No.
Hopefully it picks up.
Oh yeah, hopefully it will pick up.
Hopefully it will pick up.
I think it actually does as well, actually.
Yep, so the next match on the card is, Legend versus Legend Killer. Hulk Hogan versus Randy Orton. This is where the show picks up for me.
Yes.
Yes, it actually picks up for me as well in that show, actually. It's not the greatest wrestling match, but it is good for showmanship. I will say that much.
Indeed.
And,
It was really enjoyable to watch, especially with Hulk Hogan doing his Hulk Hogan-y thing.
Hulk Hogan-y thing.
yes,
Yeah.
the Hulk Hogan things, all the Hulk Hogan things.
Yes, all of them, as he usually does, including cheating, blatantly cheating, back scratching, eye poking, and threatening to hit the referee. Good guy, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
He's for every American.
He's a real American. I am a real American. He fights for what's right. He fights for your life. And then he spends 30 minutes celebrating in the ring after he wins, because he obviously does win, but that comes later on. So this was a period in Randy Orton's career in which he was at a bit of odds with both himself and the company because he was not a good boy. He was not being a good boy, he was being suspended left and right, killing his own push effectively.
Killing his own legend.
Killing?
Yeah, he's the legend killer.
Killing his own legend killing. Oh boy, okay, and so now you would think this would be the proper time to push him over again by having him beat Hulk Hogan, because hey, he's defeated all of the other legends he's been in the ring with. Mick Foley. Mick Foley. I guess he RKO'd Mae Young at some point.
He RKO'd Roddy Piper.
He did defeat The Undertaker in last SummerSlam's event.
Wasn't there something to do with, like, Ric Flair as well? Like,
Yes, he did. So yeah, he has quite a repute as the Legend Killer.
quite the resume.
So of course he loses against Hulk Hogan clean as a whistle.
Because Hulk Hogan.
Because Hulk Hogan. This was actually Hulk's last match in the WWE. Ever.
But I will point something out. At least Randy was not diffused too much in this match.
I like how he sells Hogan's offense, as if he's being hit by a train, or if he's so surprised that old man Hogan can actually push him all the way through the other side of the ring. Oh, I'm so shocked by this!
You're like, oh my gosh, this man's a beast!
Oh, Randy looks so much better than Hogan because, you know, he has youth on his side, he has better muscle and muscle composition, and while Hogan is sogging off.
Yeah. He's old
steroids.
age.
Yeah. Also because of old age.
Yes, that too. Randy was not diffused completely
that
night.
No, he was not completely buried. At least his finisher was kept strong, as it were. Yeah. Because at some point he does RKO Hogan. Hogan did not kick out in the usual fashion. He had to put his leg on the bottom rope, while the referee actually counted a full 3 count. So for a minute there, Randy thought he had won, and he was so happy about it. Yeah. But then his heart was broken when the referee notified him that no, his leg was on the bottom rope, so the match continues, and then Hogan wins, but at that point he's academic.
Yes.
Still, this was fun. A lot of great showmanship from both Hogan and Randy. It was not a good wrestling match from a technical standpoint, because all you can do with Hogan is punching, and I guess headlocks, and leg dropping, and more headlocks. But from a showmanship standpoint, it was really enjoyable. It was a nice throwback. Curiously enough, this whole night is all about nostalgia.
Yeah,
it turns out.
Yeah, inexplicably it's about nostalgia by accident.
So this is nostalgia for the Hulkamania time? Which,
around the 80s.
Yes, and I guess the next match on the card is nostalgia for Ric Flair's violent matches in the National Wrestling Alliance. And spliced in with Mick Foley's death matches in Japan. Because that's the feel I get from it. Because it's a freaking bloodbath.
You wouldn't think with an I Quit match that it could get any bloodier.
Or any more brutal, for that matter.
Oh, it does. I mean, on one side you had Mick Foley, which is the guy who literally kills himself. Well, figuratively, but literally kills himself in order to make a match believable and brutal and feel realistic, including kneecapping himself when he just bashes himself on a steel stairs.
Yeah, he went flying.
And then, on the other side, you have Ric Flair, the guy who blades himself while he's cutting a promo. This was going to be nothing short but a complete and utter bloodbath.
And it was.
And it was.
Oh,
it
God.
Was
so good.
Ooh.
Oh, the vindictive side of all three of us as we were just enjoying the match.
Enjoying while cringing at the same time.
It was cringe-worthy.
But for all the right reason. Well, you know, as opposed to all the wrong reasons at the beginning of this event.
I mean, we said already that the Hulk Hogan match with Randy Orton picked up a bit. I think this elevated like a rocket, essentially.
Oh, yes.
This match with Foley.
I mean, like I said, it was not a proper technical wrestling match.
No.
But it was a good old-fashioned, bloody, roaring, beat-down, a slobber knocker, as JR would put it. It's the kind of thing that really, really makes you feel uncomfortable so much. The violence is elevated to the point that even if you're a veteran from the Attitude Era, a veteran fan from that period, even then, this match will feel like it's too much.
They're lucky that this wasn't a first blood match. That was about 5 minutes, wasn't it? And then Flair was bleeding.
Yeah, I never really liked that gimmick.
No.
It's like you're ending the match when it's just getting good, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so how should we describe this carnage? This feud started off because Mick resented Ric Flair for calling him a glorified stuntman in his biography.
Yeah.
Which is a real thing. So this feud has some real-life bearings to it. These two had a 2 out of 3 falls match at Vengeance, which ended with Ric Flair winning both those bouts because Mick Foley just decided to disqualify himself in the second bout and went hardcore on him, beating him up, and all the things that Mick Foley likes to do to people.
Yeah.
As it were. So this was the starting point for this blow-off, essentially, a proper, violent, old-school I Quit match at SummerSlam. One of the last true violent ones. Almost unmatched in that regard.
I guess.
This is really nothing short of a dream match. Ric Flair and Mick Foley feuding against each other in 2006 is so weird, out of time and out of place. And yet, here we are. And it's glorious.
Yes.
Well, I say glorious now.
It was glorious! Da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, until I'm victorious!
It's a few years too early.
Well, yeah, but still, I'm saying glorious.
It was glorious. Mick Foley attacks Ric Flair as soon as they get inside the ring, and he brings up barbed wire.
Yes.
Mr. Socko with barbed wire around it. Tables.
Yeah,
tables
thumbtacks.
with barbed wire on them.
Thumbtacks on the floor.
Yes, that happens a bit later, but basically the first half of it is Mick Foley dominating Flair because of the surprise attack, yelling in his face to quit.
Yeah, and Flair's like, yeah.
Kiss my ass, he says.
That was the second time.
Ric Flair is completely unfiltered in this match, and it is so good.
Later on, when Melina tries to get involved.
Oh yes,
yeah,
we
Melina.
should talk about that segment, by the way. So there was a segment prior to this match in which Melina confronts Mick Foley, and we see a much more cuddly version of Mick Foley because he cares about Melina.
Yeah.
And Melina was brought into this business because apparently Mick Foley vouched for her.
Okay.
As it were. Then he cuts a really good short promo in which he promises to just kill Ric Flair with his right amount of intensity. Foley had a lot of genuine heat in 2006 because he rejected ECW, allying himself with Edge. And once again, the crowd makes everything worse.
Yeah.
I swear to God they were booing both guys. They were loud, but it still feels like they were not happy. I do not understand what's wrong with this crowd. This crowd is alienating, to say the least.
It feels like they're being given the best Christmas present ever, and they're still not happy with it.
A Nintendo 64? I wanted a PlayStation, damn you! I'll burn this house to the ground! And that's how Kane was born. Okay, so then the tables literally turn.
Yeah.
There are tables involved.
Yeah.
And
and
Ric
one
Flair gets
covered
the
in
best of
barbed
it. Couple of interesting spots. Ric Flair grabbing Mick Foley's groin a couple of times.
Very cringe seeing that.
Ric Flair grating Mick Foley's forehead with Barbie.
Yeah, the
baseball with barbed wire around it. A lot of really gruesome spots like that, and I do believe there was no blading in this match because they literally open each other's wounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really nasty. At some point, Ric Flair has barbed wire around Mr. Socko on his hand, and he's chopping hard on Mick Foley's chest, and he's bleeding profusely, and the barbed wire is getting stuck, entangled with the broken shirt. Yeesh!
Yeah, you're telling me. Good lord.
And then Mick Foley likewise is grating Rick's forehead. It was, ooh...
He looked like he had a mask of blood on his face.
It's the proverbial crimson mask, and since he has white bleached hair, it enhances the color of red of the blood.
Yeah. Is there really anything else to say about this match other than I really liked the ending to the match?
In the last moments of the match...
Well, actually, throughout certain points of the match, you first had Mick Foley. He took a really nasty bump. Getting chucked off the side of the ring.
Yeah, he chucked off outside the ring, hitting the hardest part, and his head also hitting a trash can.
And he looked like he was knocked out, and then you see the EMTs and Melina coming out, checking on him, and everyone was trying to stop the match.
The referee was trying to stop the match. The referee tried to literally stop the match a couple of times. The bell even rang a couple of times.
And Ric Flair...
But yet, Ric Flair would not let it end.
Oh boy, Ric Flair. Oh, Ric Flair was amazing.
He was out for blood.
Literally.
He really wanted those words, "I quit," to come from his
This
mouth.
isn't a lay on my ass match. This is a I quit match.
He literally says that.
Yes.
Unfiltered, I tell you.
Yeah.
So, Melina then throws the towel inside the ring. The referee, again, is convinced to ring the bell.
Again.
But Ric Flair, no way, Jose.
She doesn't say it for you.
She doesn't say I quit for you. You say I quit. Jeez, Ric Flair. Oh, Ric Flair was a crimson mask, right?
Yes.
But Mick Foley was wounded in almost every part of his body, his chest, his arm, all that barbed wire. Let's talk. Let's talk about when Mick Foley scoop slammed Rick right into the mash up thumbnails.
Yeah, the thumbtacks. Good lord.
Thumbnails. I'm thinking about the thumbnail for my video.
Yes.
It might just be thumbtacks. Thumbtacks for miles. Dear Lord. Oh.
I swear he landed on his head.
Ah, yeah. He had thumbnails everywhere, even on his hand. My gosh. How could he move after that?
How could he even just walking around and even whacking him with Barbie several times while they were in his hand?
And then, comically enough, both guys ended up rolling into the thumbtacks while rolling inside the ring a couple of times.
I noticed that.
Which felt a bit gratuitous, but sure, why not?
I mean, for Foley it makes sense because he was still, like, out of it, technically, so it makes sense for him. But Ric Flair just went through it like a champ, still have all his cognitive rage. Apparently.
Cognitive rage! He's never been so much in Ric Flair mode in the past few years as he is now. So Ric Flair is ready to hit Mick Foley once again with the Barbie, and Mick Foley, being Mick Foley, never surrenders. Except Melina gets in the way, shielding him from the blow.
Ric Flair's threatening to... And he was going to hit her.
Oh yeah, it's Ric Flair. It's Ric freaking Flair. Of course he would hit a woman.
I mean, JR tries to go over it by saying, "Oh, the Flair would never hit a woman."
Are you kidding me, JR? Have you never seen one of his matches?
I mean...
Or how he treats women?
Have you never seen a match, JR?
As soon as Rick was about to hit Melina, which again was in the way, Mick Foley pronounced the magical words of "I quit" because he wanted to save Melina. And that's how the match ends.
And I
mercifully.
And I love that ending.
It was amazing.
It ended in the right moment and with the right amount of drama. It's great storytelling.
Great storytelling. This will be their last encounter, by the way.
And it makes Mick Foley look...
Despite his heel...
his heel run at the time, have a
sympathetic.
sense of sympathetic honour sort of thing.
Yes, indeed. And this also leads to a storyline 24 hours from now in the next edition of Raw after SummerSlam, in which he is basically humiliated and fired by the McMahons, and Melina is on it. So, yeah, that's gratitude for you.
Great.
And that's the last we see of Mick Foley for a long while.
Very long while, actually.
He did have a good run in 2006. For a guy who was supposed to be retired 2, 3, 4 times now. Anyway, so Ric Flair leaves the ring a bloody mess, but looking like the biggest badass old man ever. And the crowd, the really hateable crowd, boos Mick Foley. Stupid crowd, I hate you.
Thanks, crowd.
Boston, you suck. Maybe it's not even the Bostonians. Maybe it's just the Canadian intruders. We need to build a wall around Canada.
So they can't ruin my friends' pay-per-views.
Yes. We need to talk about a segment involving both the McMahons and the X. It's important for later.
Yeah, there's this whole bit where the McMahons are talking with the manager of Umaga at the time.
Umaga! Say it with me. Armando Alejandro Estrada. And I have brought Umaga to you. So he's the most stereotypical Cuban guy ever. He has Cuban cigars. He talks with this thick fake accent. He really rolls the R's, as it were. And he's planning something nefarious with the McMahons about a possible obvious Umaga interference during their DX match.
An interference by the villains?
And McMahon happens to say something unfortunate, like Umaga is the best monster in the WWE right now.
Yes, the biggest beast. Unstoppable. He has not seen Braun Strowman at this time.
Braun Strowman is a long way from now, but Braun will be so good. So good.
Yeah.
Not to mention Samoa Joe.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, so inexplicably DX heard that, because apparently they watch it, like everyone else, and they go to somebody's locker room. The internal logic of a WWE show sometimes is completely befuddling. But anyway, they go to a locker room to inform some mysterious figure that McMahon totally said that about Umaga, so,
That's kind of baffling to me as well, because after they were done saying this, the exact thing that McMahon said, they basically then acted like, hey, you think he bought it? Yeah, I think he did. It's like...
As if they were lying.
As if they were lying to him, even though they didn't technically lie.
Actually, they might be lying. They just made it up on the spot. And it just so happened to be true. Imagine that.
What are the coincidences,
The coincidences, it's almost like bad writing. Oh, by the way, Degeneration X was a mistake.
Yes.
In 2006.
I think everyone agrees upon that.
Nowadays, yes, but at the time, woof.
Everyone loved cocks.
Merchandise.
No, it's on their merchandise. They love chickens. The cock hen. The hens. The cocks.
If you can't see right now, Madhog is staring a hole through Devar.
Anyway, this happens and we are basically setting ourselves up for the Degeneration X versus McMahon's matchup, which is something that's going to happen, apparently.
Yeah, but first, before that, there was another match. Just before that.
Yes, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match. King Booker defends against the Animal Batista because, of course, Batista has been spearheaded right back into the main event scene after that non-feud with Mr. Kennedy. Here's something that bothers me. The champion enters first.
Yes.
That's bollocks.
Yeah, the champion should always enter last.
Always.
Because...
I mean, Edge enters last later on.
Well, it makes more sense because the challenger always goes first. Because
Should.
they're the one they're challenging. They're the one that's throwing down the gauntlet. And the champion answers in kind. That's the way it should go.
It makes sense.
It feels
it also
right.
gives importance to the belt.
Especially King Booker's gimmick at the time. He's being all grandiose and kingly and such, so you'd expect the king to come out last.
You'd expect that. Disappointingly enough, he did not have his fancy throne vehicle with a knight riding it.
Yeah, that's a shame,
That's really a shame. That was really good.
Yeah,
last month.
I mean, the king has arrived! All hail King Booker!
Yes, and Charmel, all hail King Booker! Which is a hit magnet, apparently. And then JBL says, perhaps the
weirdest thing I've ever heard.
One of the funniest lines, but also one of the weirdest lines. Queen Charmel makes the Queen of Shima look like a prostitute.
There was another comment he made earlier.
That's funny because he actually compared Charmel to the Queen of Shima last month.
So it was a continuation of that.
It's a continuation. It's escalating, essentially.
I thought it was even funnier when he made a comment about Booker conquering the world, and then
he's out to conquer even more.
It's like, what else is there after the world?
The whole entire universe? Is King Booker becoming a Voltron villain?
I must admit,
I would love to see that.
The only way you could have made that so much more funnier is if JBL would insinuate that he would be gay for King Booker.
So, okay, Batista enters now. Well, this crowd, we explain, is quite hostile to seemingly everybody for no reason.
Yeah, just for the sake
Somebody was even booing DX later on. To be honest, as I have already explained in depth to you in the last rendition of this podcast, Batista would never be as over as he was in 2005.
Yeah.
I believe people were starting to catch on his limits. And this match definitely showcased some of his limits. Because none of the moves he does are particularly
impactful, as you put it.
Impactful or, especially good.
I mean...
He does a belly to Bailey at some point,
Yeah,
but it's not very good.
No, it's not.
Cena does one as well later on, and it's much, much better.
Yeah, I will say, he takes a hit with a scepter to the head like a
Yeah, the
champ.
scepter was hitting him so hard it exploded.
Yeah, and you could see the bits flying off into the stratosphere.
Yes, obviously the referee was distracted because Charmel.
Yeah.
So, this match is mediocre at best.
Yeah, the match is not bad, but it's not good either.
I mean, they fight for a while, there is a back and forth of some description, then Booker gets the better of him.
King Booker's run as champion is not a very good start. If this is the end result with Batista here, with the moves on show, essentially.
Well,
I mean, you even also pointed out that when Batista did the Batista bomb after the
disqualification, yes, because the match ends in a disqualification once Queen Charmel gets involved. Wait a minute, why doesn't the match between Edge and Cena end in a disqualification once Lita gets involved? In the same exact way! Oh my god! I just ruined the main event for myself. And I like that match, damn it! We'll cover that when we get there, but I just realized this makes no sense from a continuity standpoint. Even in the same bloody show, we have the same identical spot of the female manager of the heel champion intervening, and one gets disqualified and the other one doesn't? My gosh, this is bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Queen Charmel climbs on Batista's back and tries to very weakly
slap his chest.
Punch him in the back, and that causes a disqualification because, you know, it's right in front of the ref.
I thought it was more comical, she jumps on Booker's back and tries hitting, like,
More or less. I mean, when Batista was about to do the Batista bomb, judging by the setup of it, it was not going to be his best Batista bomb.
Yeah, and I was going to say that you pointed out that there was a cut made to the
DVD edition of this pay-per-view, because I remember distinctly when I watched this show live, when Batista finally does manage to perform the Batista bomb, it took a lot more of struggling for Booker to properly get up in the position of, bombing.
Yeah.
But the DVD edition cut that part, so we only get to see the part in which Booker is in the appropriate position, but they left his struggling phase as he was getting up there. So even if it was cut very crudely, you can still notice that something is wrong with this.
Yeah.
That was a botch that they were able to remove, unlike the most obvious ones and impossible to remove botches by Sabu earlier on.
Yeah, gosh. Less of a Batista bomb, more of a botch-tista bomb.
A botch-tista bomb.
You could say bomb.
Ow!
Oh, sorry, I hit you too hard in the head.
Don't make me the next Mick Foley on this podcast.
Yes, I hit Devar with the DVD case. Just for that.
You could say it bombed.
I learned my lesson.
Aww.
We already have a concussed guy here.
Yeah, you don't need two on your hands.
On the shoulder, there.
Aww.
Anyway, so I guess this is it. These two clearly will be feuding for a few more weeks. Their final blow-off will happen at Survivor Series in the main event.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think the match they had in the main event was much better than this one. Maybe at some point we shall cover that, because I also happen to have it on DVD.
Yeah.
But regardless, as far as SummerSlam is concerned, next up...
oh, gosh.
D-Generation X versus Mr. McMahon and Shane McMahon. And also a bunch of Goonies, as it were.
Yeah.
Big Show does not do the truffle shuffle before anyone asks. Have you never watched the Goonies?
It was a long time ago.
Yes. Oh boy, this match.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't...
But, what ruins it is the fact that I have to suffer through D-Generation X antics, essentially.
Yeah, basically the intro bit.
At the time, I would eat it up, like everyone else. Dumb nuts. It's cringy, really, to look at these two dads, essentially, having a middle-age crisis and feuding with a couple of other dads to see who could be the most childish and petty in between all of them.
It really is like that. It's four dads in a ring
with their biker gang members, I guess, involved.
Yes, I believe Madhog also pointed out to me that at the time, Stephanie was carrying or having Triple H's first child.
Yes, she was pregnant with Triple H's daughter.
And then, awkward.
In between all of that, she gives birth and they acknowledge it on Raw. But Triple H and Shawn are feuding with the McMahons, so basically Triple H is literally feuding with his father-in-law who's just become a granddad. This is wrong on so many levels. This feels like a Flintstones episode rather than a proper wrestling feud. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. D-Generation X enters the ring with "Are you ready?" Doom doom.
Yeah, and they do their usual antics, they go like, I said, are you ready?
Okay, this is bothering me so much right now that I know more about past the X. But basically, every time they get inside the ring, Triple H gets the microphone and does the raw dog routine. It is so weird to see Triple H doing it, even though it was something that was signature of Raw Dog.
Yeah.
Which was in TNA at the moment, by the way. Redoing the New Age Outlaws with a different name.
Right, I would not know that.
The whole time they do their classic DX introduction with the wrong people doing it. Me and Devar, you were out at the moment, taking a break from this hell.
Yes, I was.
In that moment, me and Devar were sitting here on our chair,
and
dead, silent.
And I was lamenting about how Triple H should not be doing this to himself when he can't do the voice like he used to.
Also, this is really lame. Honestly, I cannot think of any other description than two middle-aged dads having a midlife crisis. I mean, Triple H, multiple times world champion, biggest heel, Shawn Michaels, and they are acting like
pubescent 20-year-olds.
But they are in their 40s at this point, I believe.
Yes. Triple H with the Motorhead mustache.
Yeah.
That doesn't mix well compared to when Triple H was in his 20s and clean-shaven. It doesn't look good when you're DX.
And the worst part is that they actually did all of the stupid infantile stuff they used to do back in the day, but now they're supposed to be baby faces, and so we have a lot of hideous things like their terrible impressions and imitations of the McMahons and the poop rain, which is a thing,
and
I love cock.
Yes.
That's also a thing.
Which became merchandise.
Of course it became merchandise.
And not to mention the McMahons decide to retaliate with childishness by planting Cuban cigars on them,
in their locker room, and having the National Coast Guard coming in and FBI, I believe it was the FBI, arresting them for contraband. What the hell is this? A feud in between college frat boys, college fraternities, Alpha Delta McMahonia versus DX Beta.
Either that or it's DX Beta versus the deacon of the school.
DX! This already ruins the match for me because I cannot enjoy it.
It's okay, so before the match...
And I am completely deprived of energy at that point in time, by the way, because of that promo alone.
And then you got Shane McMahon and Vince coming out.
Okay,
afterwards.
They saved the match. They are really good. In, the showmanship department, the faces they make, how arrogant and petty they act. It's great. Good stuff on that part.
It's at their best.
At the time, yes. Before they would be overexposed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Vince and Son come down the ring, and I would like to point out that the highlight for me of the night, in terms of commentary, was JR referring to Shane McMahon as the Demon Seed and the son of Satan's hero. Coincidentally, this is as good as any times to point out that earlier in the year McMahon was having a feud against God. One day, my son, one day I shall tell you about it.
No.
Please do. It took me ages to forget that.
I mean, the face that Dantan made right now, it was priceless. It looks exactly like the face you have right now. A single solitary tear comes down his cheek.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, right before the match starts, we have a lot of interferences happening.
And shenanigans
Shenanigans, but of the funny kind, at least. So, McMahon and Son decide, we're going to come down the ring. No, wait! Change my mind. And they call out the Spirit Squad.
More like the Spirit Squash.
Yes. Can you believe these guys were in the main event of Vengeance being squashed by the X?
Yes, I can, actually.
That was bad. Anyway, so they come down the ring and the X at this point, well, has exposed them as a complete joke. Your World Tag Team Champions, by the way. Alright, so the McMahons then call out basically the entirety of King's Booker Court, which is to say Finlay with his Shillelagh and William Regal, but not Hornswoggle. It's a shame. I would have loved to see him intervene, like grabbing Triple H's ankle. Oh God, there is a troll inside the ring! And also Mr. Kennedy. Was there anyone else? I believe
the Big Show came after that.
Oh yes, after that the Big Show came around.
The Big Show.
Yes, the Big Show.
But he's such a good boy. At least,
I mean, it's not like he debuted in this company working already for the corporation of McMahon's.
No, which Dantan pointed out ages ago during the pay-per-view.
Yeah, so there was this very funny moment in which we were commenting about Big Show being overused by every brand in this shenanigans-riddled company, as it were. You know, he just took Kali's place in the Punjabi prison last month and all of that. So he commented, every time there is a corporation stable, Big Show is part of it. Well, guess what? He's helping the McMahons. Again, as he has always done.
I never would have guessed. It's just, he's such a saint.
So he comes down the ring, he helps out disposing of the two guys, he destroys Shawn and he slams Triple H on a table, which is the table spot of the night. Incidentally, nice bit of a detail there, it was the ECW table.
They weren't going to reuse that the entire night anyway, because they only had one match.
Yeah, ECW only had one match in this event, so, you know, Joy and Taz can just take the night off. Nobody cares.
I feel sorry for them too. They had to sit there for the entire night.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, they had.
And that match came the second match of the night, wasn't
yes. It was about 12 minutes long, I think.
They might as well just basically had a few beers afterwards, just sat there, just
for all you know, they might have, but the camera never actually looked at them ever again.
Mm.
You know, it's a good thing they did not just have the ECW title match in the pre-show on Sunday Night Heat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that happening.
Now, the match then finally starts with the McMahon coming down the ring after most of the job was done and looking completely shocked and surprised. Oh, what happened here? Excellent pantomime on McMahon's part, especially.
Yeah. They just come in, eat up the entire scene.
Yes, they chew the scenery and they bully Shawn for a while, for a really long while. They also surprisingly do the Doomsday Device.
Yeah.
The McMahon's doing the Doomsday Device.
And they do it really well.
They do it really well.
That's surprising to me.
Well, Shane does the most of it, but,
but the fact
McMahon hoists Shawn Michaels on his shoulder, so that was impressive. Up until eventually Triple H just returns and he's, you know, from his nap.
Yeah, despite the fact he's crawling to the ring really slowly, and he's getting onto turnbuckle like as if, I'm so dead after that. And suddenly, as soon as Michaels tags him, he's all like, yeah, I've got it!
Yes, and all of that. And then, during the DX Rush Hour, Umaga comes down the ring. He gets booed, obviously, but then again, everybody's getting booed tonight.
Yeah.
Relentless
it's very
crowd.
Hard for, like, someone that's jumping in to figure out who the heel is and who the face is.
Yes, if everybody gets booed.
Yeah,
I mean, the announcers do a good job. The video packages do a good job in, you know, making us root for somebody, or at least telling us who's the bad guy and who's the good guy, especially the John Cena Edge video package, which was glorious.
But if someone were to skip those parts,
yeah,
which is the vignettes at the beginning, and then just watch the match on mute.
No, it still has a video package before it. Oh. Okay, so Umaga comes down the ring, ready to interfere again, but then who should show up but the big red monster? Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was the one DX was coercing or lying to, even though they were not lying to in the back, telling him, hey, McMahon said this about Umaga, what are your thoughts about it? His thoughts are that Kane comes down the ring and starts a feud with Umaga.
After a thumb of death to Triple H and an attempted thumb of death to Shawn Michaels.
Yes, so they brawl and they go backstage and the match in the ring continues. So for a moment there, it looks like the McMahons, the McMahons were about to win the match. Oh, it was so wonderful. Shane is about to do his signature finisher, the coast to coast. They even put a trash can on top of Shawn Michaels. Oh, and by the way, this should be pointed out.
Oh no, it's Triple H. They put the trash can on.
They put the trash can on top of on Shawn H. And then Triple Michaels. You might be thinking, that's illegal. No worry, because McMahon knocked out the referee earlier, calling him trash. You did not count 3? I'm knocking him out because I'm the boss, damn it.
Yeah, he just outright openly punches the ref in the face.
It makes sense for him to do so. He is Vince.
Yes, he's the boss. You can't disqualify the boss.
I mean, you could, but then he would be very unhappy.
And he'd
probably fire you.
You're fired.
While Shane's doing his coast to coast, the camera angle is a bit iffy. You can clearly see what they're going for, because Shawn Michaels just comes out of nowhere with a super kick right to Shane's face out in midair. But from that angle, you can tell that he wasn't going to make it.
Yes. It's supposed to be like that to surprise the audience watching at home, because they would not see it coming like that. Switching music out of nowhere. But from a perspective standpoint, it really shows how constructed and artificial the spot is, because it clearly shows to you that Shane was not going to really make it to the other side of the coast, so to speak.
Yeah.
They show later on a replay from a much better angle, and it looks better.
Yeah, it does. But it was just to keep that surprise out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I get it. It's supposed to be like this surprise out of nowhere, and maybe even funny.
Yeah, for me, it was quite goofy.
Goofy?
Yeah, it just, very cartoony, sort of timing.
Indeed. And now we have the finish of the match, with Triple H hitting Vince on the head with the trash can.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels switching music sim. And then Triple H grabs him for a pedigree and a 1-2-3 count and a victory for DX. They celebrate and they go away.
Yeah.
After some posing and whatnot.
Well, yes, they do, but at least it's not a 30 minutes long posing and celebration like
Hogan
does. I swear to God, that Randy Orton-Hogan match took 20 minutes just because of the Hogan entrance and the Hogan celebration at the end.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the last time McMahons and DX will feud against each other. They will have their final blow-off at Unforgiven the following month. In fact, the two major feuds of this night are far from being over. They will be over next month. That really doesn't make Summerslam feel important, does it?
No.
Anyway, it's time for our main event.
Yep, the main event.
WWE Champion Edge, accompanied by Women's Champion Lita, versus Challenger John Cena. And if Edge gets disqualified, he loses the title. Keep that in mind, if you please. Without exaggerating, this was the feud of the year. The rivalry between Cena and Edge is a classic moment in wrestling history, especially for me. It really did wonders for the career of both guys. It made Cena look like a proper ass-kicking, intense badass. He's been on a warpath ever since ECW One Night Stand, and he was amazing. And Edge is this perfect, sniveling, cowardly, dead, bitch-slapping douchebag. So Edge was the first ever Money in the Bank winner.
Yes.
And he cashed in the Money in the Bank to John Cena after a gruesome Elimination Chamber. John Cena won the title back 3 weeks later in an okay match. Then they had another match the following Raw that was used to springboard the feud against Mick Foley, between Edge and Mick Foley for WrestleMania 22. Then there was the triple threat match in which Edge won the title, another one-on-one contest at Saturday night's main event, which ended in a DQ after Lita's interference, and John proceeded to basically F-U the Rated R Superstar on top of the announcer's table from the top of the stairs, which looked great, especially with Godsmack music accompanying that scene.
Yeah.
And I want to stress out that the video package for this feud is sublime.
It is well made. It gets across the big points of both of their careers and their personalities and the rivalry in general.
Yes, and all of the reasons in the world that John might have to be really pissed off at Edge and wanting to kill him. Oh, and by the way, this is supposed to be John Cena's hometown.
Yeah.
Well, technically his hometown is West Newbury, but I don't think West Newbury has an arena of any kind, so it's Boston instead. Hey, it's still Massachusetts, right? Anyway, so the video package, as I mentioned, is amazing, and I want to actually spend the next hour and a half talking about how good the video package alone is. I'm really marking hard for this feud between these two, because it represented the height of my personal investment in WWE wrestling at the time.
Yeah.
I don't think anything afterwards would compare to the Cena-Edge feud in my eyes. Okay, what I really liked about video packages done in this period of time is that they feel like proper music videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they used Godsmack The Enemy song for this video package, which made it outstanding and really makes your blood pumping, and you want to see these two guys kill each other, and you're ready for it. It's really a good, old-school, Attitude Era level video package. Very reminiscent and akin to Rock and Austin video package.
Yeah.
Except, thankfully, no Limp Bizkits. Actually good music this time around.
Yeah.
Hey, you, Mr. Backstabbing son of a bitch! Da. So John Cena sees the enemy, and it's Edge, and he must kill him.
Yeah.
And he almost proceeds to do so at the beginning of their match, but then Edge takes over, because typically that's what happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the match itself, it's good.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's very good. It's actually much better than I thought it was, than my memory remember it as. It is a solid 3.5 stars, I'd say.
Yeah.
John Cena enters first because he's the challenger. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
very much.
Thank you very much for that. Edge enters second because he's the champion. Again, thank you very much.
Giving importance to the belt and all that.
Honestly, I believe the reason this was done was because the crowd would be the loudest for the first one to enter.
Yeah.
Cena is the hometown boy, so he enters first. Next month, Edge enters first because the show is taking place in Toronto.
Ah.
So, help me describe this match, boys, because I'm actually reaching my limit.
What can I say about this match other than it was really fantastic, some of the spots in it. Like, I'm trying to remember now what.
I will say that when John Cena got thrown over the ropes, he makes a real loud "Whoa!"
Yes, that's Lex Luger's school of selling.
Yeah, it was just so loud and audible, and it sounded like he didn't realise how high up he was going to be, like he surprised himself.
Okay, so what's great about Edge and Cena is not only the actual wrestling that they put in the ring, it's the psychology. You know, Cena wants to kill Edge, but he still does not want to be disqualified, so he has to be careful himself. He really wants that title. Cena wants it because it's his. I mean, he lost it in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Cheating and interferences because of Edge, by the way. So he's angry and he's hungry, and he would do anything to get his hands to the belt again. So that's a good babyface fighting for a prize, for a rich prize, and he gives importance to the prize by putting said prize in the epicenter of it all. And then Edge goes and makes it personal by visiting John's father's home and slapping him in the face.
Because he's a heel.
And what a great heel he is.
Yeah, and he just slaps him so hard.
He does.
It's like he could have sent him to another dimension with the slap.
It was such a bitch slap, my gosh.
I wish I was there now to see the meeting, before they actually shot it. Because I would like to see basically like, hey, we're gonna slap you in the face really hard. Is that okay? And he's like, oh yeah, sure.
And what I really like about John Cena's father is that he looks like the stereotypical quintessential blue-collar dad, which makes, I guess, Cena more relatable as a hero.
Yes.
Yeah, the guy, he looks like every American, an average Joe sort of thing.
I do enjoy also his somewhat personalized Marine salute with 3 fingers.
Yeah, it's almost like he could be involved in a movie at this point.
Or was.
He only made 1 Marine movie. Yes, so this is a great match. A bit dead in the middle. They tend to have this central portion of it in which Edge is dominating Cena.
Yeah, because Edge has him like in this chin lock or headlock or something.
A couple of times, in fact.
And Cena's like,
I'm going to physically pry myself out of this lock, showcasing how strong I am.
And then he goes to town, so to speak, bouncing off the ropes and whatnot.
He does that in every match.
But there was a point in the match where they do a reversal, into a reversal, into another reversal.
Oh yes, it is interesting to point out when John Cena does this modified bulldog in which he projects himself forward and takes Edge's head with his arms.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really look like a bulldog so much as it looks like feats of acrobatic strength.
Yeah.
It looks good either way.
It does look nice.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Even the announcers did not know what it was, so they called it a modified bulldog.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure there is a name for that move because I played a lot of SmackDown games where that move is
I've seen
actually
that move
in.
before, but I don't know what to call it.
No, neither do I.
I don't know what it was called.
Either
a snap
way,
man
it
neck breaker?
actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe a snapmare neck breaker, as you put it.
That's what I thought. A snap man.
It could be that. Anyway, contrary to popular belief, John Cena can wrestle and is very good.
Oh yeah, you can't take that away from the man.
No.
He definitely knows how to
And
wrestle.
my gosh, I cannot even begin to say how much he improved throughout 2005 and 2006 as an in-ring competitor.
Yeah.
And also as a character. His promos have become so much better. His feud with Edge gave him a proper antagonist that elevated him, even though some fans will boo him until the end of time. Honestly, he deserves everything that's coming to him this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yes, this was a really exciting little match. At some point, it looks like Lita is about to interfere.
Yeah. She does it several times, actually.
Yes,
she throws a chair in at first, and then Edge is like looking like, no!
Are you crazy, woman? Yes. And also when John Cena, out of nowhere, traps Edge into the STFU, Lita was about to interfere, but Edge says no, and Cena says, yes, do it! I dare you! I double dare you!
Yeah. Edge took her like 200 years to grab the rope that was like 2 inches away from him.
That's fairly typical.
Yeah, it's to create drama, but it's like false drama.
Relatively false drama, but regardless, you know what? The STFU was a killer move at the time.
Yeah.
Even though the application of it seems a bit
loose.
Yes, for lack of a better term.
I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin having Cena on his show. On his podcast show, he goes like, hey son, that STFU you do you think you could lock it up a bit more in the ring? And all Cena says, I'll try, sir. And then he doesn't.
I'll try,
I guess Abbott, all the best champions or guys have a submission finisher and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yes, it could use to be a bit tighter. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't look bad, but it does look a bit loose.
Mm.
Then again, this is my nostalgia talking, and I have nostalgic feelings for the STFU, because it was the move that wins the match when the FU couldn't.
Yeah, that's true, actually. If the first move doesn't work, the other will.
Well, in this case it didn't, but that's because that's typical of the first application of any given finisher submission move. The first time around, the opponent manages to survive.
Yeah.
It creates more drama when the move is applied a second time.
You also said something very interesting about the match having like moments that reflect matches before.
Yes, that was very interesting to see. It felt almost like a blow-off in that sense, because there were spots that were tributing or calling back previous encounters in between Edge and Cena. The spot in which Lita gets bumped by Edge on the apron, that's a callback to their first encounter on the Royal Rumble, which Cena won. Then the part in which Cena just Super Cena his way out of a crossbody inflicted by Edge to turn it into an FU.
Yeah.
That's how he won their second encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And so on. Good stuff.
Yeah, so really
It was nice to see that. It makes sense for them to being applied there, and it makes even more sense given how much these two at this point know each other, for those moves not to work the same way they did last time.
Yeah.
And then there is a weird moment.
Yes, that one weird moment that you mentioned earlier.
It did not bother me when I watched this pay-per-view because I was completely into it and I was loving this match. But this is made awkward by, a previous situation in the very same show.
Yeah.
So the whole point of this is that Edge mustn't get himself disqualified, right?
Yeah.
And then Lita just gets into the ring when he's on Cena's shoulder, ready for an FU, and she herself gets on top of Edge. So they're both on top of Cena, and the referee does not disqualify her. Even though when Queen Sharmell does the almost exact same thing earlier on, she gets disqualified.
The only difference is there's physical contact with the...
I guess if you have to be pedantic, that's how you could justify it, but it's weak.
But it's it's because in the past I'm pretty sure that if a person enters the ring and gets in between
with either of them,
then it should be a DQ technically.
But either way, just seeing this image of Cena having both Edge and Lita on his shoulder, showcasing how strong he is, was quite funny.
Yes,
and then
he
FUs Lita out of his shoulders, but not Edge, oddly enough, and Edge takes advantage of that to do something.
Yes.
Now, earlier on in the match, Edge is given by Lita a hard knocks.
Yeah, some brass knuckles.
Some brass knuckles that he hides cleverly in his tights. So when he gets down to Cena, and Cena seems to be dazed for a second, he takes out the hard knocks, the brass knuckles. Why do they keep calling them hard knocks?
Probably because they go on your knuckles and they're hard.
So the hard knocks knuckles, brass knuckles, he hits Cena in the back of the head while the referee is distracting getting rid of Lita from the ring.
And you could hear it as well.
It was loud.
Gosh, that was...
joyously loud. And Cena dies.
Well, no, technically it doesn't.
Well, Cena falls unconscious, logically speaking.
Yeah.
And Edge picks up the victory and retains the title, which means neither King Booker or Edge will be each other's servant or foot kisser. So SummerSlam ends up on a bit of a downer, honestly.
Yeah,
the crowd was the most involved they have been for the entire night. Nice and loud, but mostly booing both guys.
Yeah, they were the loudest in that last match.
Yeah.
And yet they were mostly negatively responding to this. I don't know why.
I think one of the most interesting things to point out about this particular match is once Edge won the match, they cut to 3 children wearing John Cena t-shirts, and they all look so sad.
They were so heartbroken.
Yes.
That was brilliant of the camera people to point out. That was brilliant of Kevin Dunn, really, to just focus on that one shot, once the match is over, mind you, of heartbroken Cena Nation kids.
It was like...
No! Captain Planet, why did you lose against Pollution, man?
I was going to say Superman, but we'll go with Captain Planet.
No, he's more like Superman in the end.
Yeah.
A good version of Superman, all in all, I say. Better than the actual Superman we've ended up with in the recent incarnations.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So yes, that is how SummerSlam 2006 concludes, with the top heel at the top, as it were, and the top babyface down on his luck, heartbroken, recovering from a possible concussion, and all of his little fans sad and teary and, I'm so sad. All in all, this was a good show.
Definitely a step up from the American Bash.
The American Mash.
Yes, Bash I said, but we'll have...
Yes.
For me, I could have gone without the first few matches,
Well,
Yeah.
I think we all could have.
I could have gone with a 2 hours show as opposed to a 3 hours show.
Take the Big Show and Sabu match and put it with the first match of the night. Put them in a box, take it into space, throw it into the atmosphere, watch it burn up into the sea, sink.
Don't forget the Diva Search segment,
Oh gosh,
which was included in between those. So
that was really pointless. That was really pointless. That
I
Diva
would
Search.
rather take that bit, put it out the back, and then just hear a shotgun shot.
Tell me about the rabbits, George.
That whole Diva Search thing didn't have a payoff to anything for the show itself.
One last thing before we go into worst guy, best match, worst match segment of the night.
Mhm.
Let's talk about what happens in between Edge and Cena in the night after this show, because it is definitely worth talking about,
Yeah,
and
in
it
Raw.
is included in the DVD.
Mhm.
So Edge comes down the ring, gloating, and then we cut to Lita, whom is about to throw the WWE title belt in the river, because, according to Edge, that is not his belt, that is Cena's belt. So after that is thrown into the river, he unveils the really cool-looking Rated R Superstar WWE title belt, and this makes me wonder, why doesn't anybody who becomes champion after these two get their own personalized version of the spinning belt?
I'll tell you why. Expensive.
I guess it is, but I'm trying to imagine what would the Triple H WWE spinning belt look like.
It was probably just a bunch of skulls and with the Triple H
Oh,
and
jeez.
whatnot. With
What-
the crowns and everything, and just him, looking like the Lich King or something.
What would a Randy Orton title belt look like?
A few vipers on it, maybe.
Cardboard.
Yeah.
Tasteless, flavorless cardboard.
I couldn't really think of anything. But
Yes,
yeah,
that's the point.
cardboard.
Jeff Hardy returns to the company.
In a big way.
Yes, he's been out for 3 years. In fact, Edge reacts to him by saying, "Weren't you dead like 3 years ago?" Which
Yeah.
was funny.
It was.
So later on in the night, they had a match, which ends up in a DQ, with Lita interfering. Oh gee, fancy that. And then Cena comes down, and he essentially murders Edge, I guess, the entire night. He just throttles him, butters him, chases him, butters him into basically in every single spot in the local city they're in. Finally, to top it off, he throws the guy inside the river, and he has to be fished out by the local National Coast Guard.
Speaking of which, throughout all this attack, 2 people tried to stop John Cena. And they're the same 2 guys all the way through the night.
Yes, they are probably veterans that I did not recognize at the moment.
No.
But I love the fact that at some point Cena snaps and just punches them too because they keep, getting in his way. So, like I said, Cena throws Edge in the river and then he
After
just...
saying, time to take a swim.
Take a swim, kid. Yes. Also, something else very funny happens. He tries to strangle him with a garden hose.
Oh gosh.
And he says,
Give me-
very awkwardly,
Give me a moment to whip out my hose.
"I'll whip out my hose on you."
Or something along those lines.
They had to be self-aware.
but it was just so awkwardly said.
No, it was funny to me. I liked
Yeah.
it. So basically, after the murder attempt of your champion, Cena just nonchalantly puts himself together and walks away
Just
like
another
nothing
day.
happened.
Just another day in WWE.
Just another day in John Cena's life in 2006. And it was great. And this really sets the epic final pay-per-view encounter in their feud at Unforgiven, which is going to be a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the title.
Oh boy.
Okay, so, back to SummerSlam. It's time for worst guy, worst match, best match. So, what was your worst match of the night?
That's a bit difficult considering, but looking at this card, I would have to say the Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero match. You do not want that as an opener.
No.
It's between the Botricidal Maniac match and the first match with Chavo and Ray because of the whole Eddie thing. It felt
Yes.
kind of tasteless. Probably a tie at this point because I can't choose between them because they're both bad
In
but
their own unique ways.
that
Well,
they can't
yes.
seem to top the other.
Yes, well, the ECW title match in between Big Show and Sabu is riddled with botches, and it's not very good.
To be
and
honest, I kept forgetting that it was for the title.
it is. But it's otherwise innocuous. I mean, it's more or less not as bad as the whole point of reviving ECW under the WWE banner. So in the grand scheme of things, it is the most innocuous of the ECW-related things. On the other hand, Chavo versus Ray, to see who loved Eddie Guerrero the most. It is about the worst feud you could possibly conceive. So even though the match was mediocre at best and forgettable, the feud behind it made it so much worse. So that to me is the worst of the night. And I think we all pretty much agree on that.
Yeah.
All of us. It's almost unanimous. So what was the best match of the night?
Oh, that's a hard one for me.
No,
Because
that's easy for me. Mick Foley and Ric Flair. For me, that's me personally.
you know, I'm stuck between that match as well as John Cena versus Edge.
It was a pretty good wrestling feud that they were having.
Because just those two matches, they were the best of the night. The other ones just seemed like they were a bit mediocre, or there was something wrong with it.
Yes.
That I just can't, put it into my best matches list.
To be honest, Rogan versus Handy was actually entertaining. Not match of the night material, because you've seen one Hogan match, you've seen them all.
Yeah, that's why it's not in my. That's why I didn't consider it in my best match list, because it's more of a showmanship match.
Yes, but for nostalgia's sake, which is kind of the leitmotif of the night, I guess it did its job, and it was fun, and Randy's career did not suffer from it at all in the longest scheme, in the longest, run.
Yeah.
So, not too bad, but not a match of the night.
No. I'm just gonna go
The struggle is real, guys.
I'm just gonna, I'll just because it's more personal, I would go for the Edge and Cena, just because, the heat behind that, as well as the
aftermath.
The aftermath.
And whatever came first.
Yeah, and whatever came first. All that put together, it feels a bit more
impactful.
Yeah.
Also, in the long term, is a feud you really want to watch and follow, and you can never have enough of.
Yeah, I'll go with those reasonings, because I was more thinking it's more to do with the fact that you can't get any worse than slapping someone's father just to make a point.
You can.
Yes.
Even in this feud, you can.
Yes, I can imagine that.
I mean, I guess attempted murder the night before, the night after, was, taking that next necessary step.
It's just kind of reminiscent of Vince McMahon with Steve Austin. Just a regular day in WWE.
This is why I say this feud between Edge and Cena is probably the best of its time. It is an all-time classic that did wonders for both men's careers. It is something that gets remembered fondly. So
I take it that was your best match of the night?
I've been thinking about it. Yes. In spite of the awkwardness of Lita getting involved at the end, still the visual was really fun.
Yeah.
This was my favorite wrestling encounter of the night.
Yeah.
It was a personal feud between two bitter rivals. One wants to escape the other, and the other one wants to kill the other. They just work well together, both at the microphone and both on the ring. This feud makes Edge look like a top-class heel that you want to see beaten down and humbled, and it makes Cena look like the conquering badass babyface that wants the belt back so bad he almost would resort to
anything to get that belt.
To kill his opponent outside of the actual match, at least.
Yeah.
So because of the momentum behind it, and then also the momentum moving forward, this is the match of the night for me. Also because of the actual action inside the ring. Mick Foley and Flair is a close second, and it's a spectacle of violence and brutality. Excellent storytelling, excellent, not athleticism, but excellent showmanship. I guess showmanship is one way to put it.
And
I would say
also the strong storyline in that too.
I would say basically also it shows off the resilient nature of both wrestlers.
Absolutely.
Going against the pain that they're going through, putting each other through, and that they're willing to destroy one another just to get those words out of them.
And that is why my choice for best guy, I'd say Ric Flair.
I would definitely go with Ric Flair, yes. Even though Mick Foley's a close second, because I
would put them both atop it, but if I had to choose only one, I'd say Ric Flair. Only because of his unfiltered, violent intensity, and how he gets in the end with the Crimson Mask, taking the punishment and dishing out the punishment, looking like the most dangerous old man that ever lived. You're both staring at me right now, which is a bit awkward. Which makes me a bit uncomfortable, but
sorry. I can't help it. I'm listening
so
to you.
To me, Ric Flair is the best guy of the night. The match of the night to me might be Cena and Edge, but the best guy tonight, just because of what he went through, is Ric Flair, with Mick Foley as a close second.
Yeah, that'd be
You
mine
agree?
as well. I would agree. Mainly because Mick Foley, playing a heel run at the time, but he's also basically shows a bit of empathy, because he's like, he doesn't mind what he goes through, but if Melina is hurt for him, he doesn't want that to happen.
Great psychology, great storytelling.
Yeah. And it's just funny.
Great conclusion to a dream encounter between two hardcore legends of self-inflicting pain.
And that's another thing. It's a dream match.
It
as
is.
well.
It's taking place in 2006. How weird is that again?
I also like the bit where Ric Flair's just looking at Melina like he's the devil or something.
I'm going to kill you.
I would go with Flair as well for best guy. Just
wow,
because...
so we're all agreeing on Flair on this.
I mean, I was going to say Mick Foley at first, but you guys convinced me that Ric Flair probably deserves it. For
They both deserve
intensity.
Yeah, Flair, I think with his acting and his, as you said, unfiltered way of speaking,
yes,
it
I mean,
really edges
wrestlers are not allowed to be like that in WWE anymore. You have to go to the indiest of indie circuits to get that kind of unfiltered language and physical violence. You have to go watch CCW. I'm glad we all agree about one thing, and with that, who was the worst guy?
Sabu.
That was quick.
I was gonna say, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the quality that the wrestlers, did, and because Sabu did more botches in his match, as I've said several times, he's the
botchacidal maniac. Poor Sabu.
I'm gonna have to go him.
I feel bad for Sabu, honestly.
Yeah, I feel bad for him as well, but I'm afraid that looking at the card, I had to...
I mean, it's a good thing he's in a ring with Big Show, because any other man, he could accidentally kill them.
Yeah, true. Good lord. I mean, like I said, like I was about to say, the only reason I went with Sabu is because anyone else I could basically, say, okay, you weren't that bad, you weren't that bad, and then suddenly Sabu kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, sadly. So that's pretty much my reasoning of going with Sabu.
Well, to me personally, I'm going to be a bit anti-conventional here.
Go ahead.
But to me, worst guy is D-Generation X.
Well,
as a unit.
As a unit.
Yes.
I mean, Sabu technically is the worst guy as an in-ring worker, botching everything he does. On the other hand, I have never felt so apathetic about an otherwise pretty exciting match because of a promo that was cut right before that match started. Triple H and Shawn Michaels killed my interest in this match by doing that awkward and awful Road Dogg introduction, which they do every time, which led me to remember of all the childish antics they did before this and continue to do afterwards. And again, they are essentially middle-aged dads having a crisis, feuding against the also middle-aged dads having a crisis. But those are supposed to be the bad guys, so it makes sense. But you are supposed to be the cool good guys, and my god, you are not. You are insufferable. So because they managed to single-handedly made me apathetic towards an otherwise decent tag team bout, and the McMahons actually are the ones who tried to make it exciting with their pantomimes and even a surprise doomsday device, Triple H and Shawn Michaels are the worst tonight.
Oh my god.
That is how bad DX is at this point in time, and that is how apathetic I am towards a match involving them.
Yeah,
the McMahons tried their hardest to make this match fun, but at the end of it I was just waiting for it to end because I really wanted to see the main event instead at this point. It was filler in between the world title match and the WWE title match, even though it was supposed to be the second most important feud by all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
I am not looking at it from the perspective of accurate wrestling analysis and the quality of your in-ring performances. I'm looking at it as a wrestling fan who as grown up as a wrestling fan,
Yeah.
but the people involved in the actual wrestling, which are much older, seemingly have not. So I feel like this is lame instead of cool, and I feel pandered to, and I was not even there for the Attitude Era, so I don't particularly care how cool the X used to be. But I have to imagine that if you were a fan in the Attitude Era and you see this rendition of the DX, these dads, and one of them is the son-in-law of the boss, you cannot take them seriously as rebels. You cannot take them seriously as rebellious whippersnappers going against the establishment, because they are the establishment. They are part of it. Nothing about this feud and nothing about the Generation X in 2006 can be taken seriously. Yeah. So for me, they are the worst guy.
Yeah, fair enough.
I went into a tirade, but I felt I needed to properly express myself.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Into my disdain for this rendition of the X.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, I would have been pissed off to see it go down like that. It seems a bit like,
Yeah, indeed.
So I agree with you on that, at least, but I'm still going with Sabu, just based on ring work, sadly.
Yes. This was a fun podcast, the one we just had, wasn't it?
Yes, agreed.
Okay, I guess we agree on something. Alright, so this was SummerSlam 2006. In review. I hope you had fun listening to us just as much as we had fun
talking about it. Well, sharing.
Desecrating its tomb, so to speak.
Yes.
This DVD case might as well be a coffin. Well, a time capsule coffin.
Except it's been desecrated because you see all the DX paint job on top of it. Memorable, enjoyable main event. Great, spectacular bloodbath. Decent matches in between. 2 big stinkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say if it's the analogy of the party that they're going for on the back of this cover, when it starts, you want to leave.
But then it gets better because somebody introduces the booze.
Yeah, and the really cool guys come on into the party.
Yes, and by the time we get to the main event, it's time to jump into the pool drunk.
And not to mention, you have your granddads in there saying how rebellious they were in their 20s.
Yeah, that is possibly the most awkward moment of the party. But it's entertaining in its own right.
Yes.
So,
and of course, there was also that accident with the barbecue, and somebody got burned heavily, and they had to be hospitalized. That would be the Foley Ric Flair encounter, which was memorable in its own right.
Yeah.
Overall, I'd say that this biggest party of the summer was a pretty decent one. Also a good representation of what WWE was like back in the day. You know, it's wrestling, it's storytelling. Some was good, some was bad, which is fair enough. Thankfully, this is not anywhere near like the Great American Bash, which was just an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. See you next time, or, hear you next time. For some more of the things that we usually do. Whatever those may be. I have been Madhog, the one who likes to fight.
And I've been Diva, the botchicidal one, I guess, in this case, because I can't think of an actual title.
And I've been Dantan Stormkeeper, the goriest one of the lot.
Well, you did pick Mick Foley and Ric Flair as your best match, so yeah, you are the goriest of all of us.
Get out of town! Right.
Take care, buddy.
Ta-ta for now.
Also, one last thing.
What?
The enemy!